Alrighty guys, what is going on my friends? Happy Tuesday to everybody out there. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. Glad to have you guys here for another tropical weather update. We got ourselves a lot more information for you guys regarding the system here overall. And, you know, unfortunately, guys, it looks like it is tuned to impact the Northeast and Nova Scotia. Now, you can see the cone, as far east as it goes, is still impacting land here. It definitely looks like we are going to be seeing land impact out of the system here, so we'll talk about that here in a second. Anyways, let's go ahead and see who we have here in the chat. We got ourselves Diane, we have ourselves Liam, we have Mary, we have Andrea, we have Alexander, we have Mark, we have MJ, we have Logan. Let's see here. I don't know if you already said Scott's here. We got JC here. Dawn. We have Max. We have Kyle. We got Wallflower. We got... What's up, guys? Hope everyone's doing good. Let's see here. Did anything change from yesterday? Yes. Yep. Things have changed since yesterday. Let's go ahead and talk to you guys about that. Anyways, so as we always do, currently the storm is still a Category 3. It's kind of on the lower end Cat 3 spectrum. Sustained winds of 115 miles an hour right now. With gusts getting up to 140. Like I said, with wind gusts peaking up to 140 right now. In terms of the pressure, like I said, in terms of the pressure overall, like I said, we're talking the low pressure of 951 millibars. And it, like I said, it is rising a little bit, ever so slightly. So the pressure is definitely, you know, pretty much, the system is slightly weakening, but it's really because the system is just getting so large overall. It's dispersing its energy over a larger, more broader area here. Will Pennsylvania get hit by the hurricane? Probably not. Nah, probably not. The areas that will possibly will be impacted here is Nova Scotia, as well as areas near Maine. And I'd even say up there towards, you know, Cape Cod could definitely feel some pretty nasty winds overall. In terms of the latest cone, it actually does have it still remaining, you know, a Category 1 hurricane, as it's pretty almost pretty much parallel to these regions out here by Cape Cod. You know, this is kind of for the morning of the 16th. Like I said, between the 16th and the 17th, that's the main impact points here. Like I said, we're talking winds sustained, you know, constant winds of 75 miles per hour with gusts getting up to right around 90 overall. So we're talking, you know, still some pretty big winds. And by the time it reaches up here, it kind of has to go in there towards New Brunswick, crossing through Nova Scotia, as well as obviously impacting coastal Maine as well. It looks like at this point here, it could still be a pretty powerful system. Even though it's post-tropical, it has tropical storm characteristics in terms of the wind speed. Sustained winds of 50 miles per hour with gusts getting up to still 65. So even by the time it goes through Nova Scotia, it impacts portions of Maine, I mean, into New Brunswick. Like I said, we're still talking potential tropical storm characteristics in regarding to the winds. And stuff like that. But anyways, but that is kind of what we are seeing here overall. Now, this thing is expected to remain a Category 3 here for the next little bit. Like I said, obviously here for tomorrow morning. Still supposed to remain around Cat 3 status. It's not forecasted to strengthen anymore at all. It is actually forecasted to, kind of hover around its intensity right now for the next little bit. And then as we approach our way down here to, the evening for tomorrow, it looks like it's going to be downgraded from a Category 3 into a Cat 2. But still, like I said, this system is going to be absolutely enormous. This thing's already becoming a beast of a storm here overall. In which we're going to have to continue watching this because the wind field is going to be felt from a very large distance. Even though Bermuda's out of the cone, I still definitely think that Bermuda will be able to feel those tropical storm force conditions, with this system here with the winds. And like I said, the waves, as we're going to see, could get very nasty out in these regions out by Bermuda, which obviously, Bermuda is going to need to be really paying attention to this one. Bermuda, I would be preparing right now if you guys could. Like I said, obviously, tie your vessels down out there by Bermuda. Like I said, things are going to be a little crazy overall out there by Bermuda. If it's not the winds, it's going to be the waves. That's going to be pretty crazy. Then this thing's going to be downgraded into a Category 1 expected here for the 15th. So, obviously here for the 15th in morning time, we're talking sustained winds of 90. So, kind of upper strength, Category 1. So, winds still getting up to 115. And then, like I said, that's whenever it leads us to the northeast area here. Here's Massachusetts, Cape Cod, as it's just off the coast here, 75 sustained with gusts up to 90. As it worked its way here towards Nova Scotia, as well as portions of New Brunswick and Maine overall. Let's see here. Hey, Andrew, you were right. It didn't become a Cat 4. Yeah, I didn't think it would. See, maybe a bit more. Let's see, half the size of Sandy or even bigger. I mean, regardless, yes, the storm's going to be bigger. I can't really compare sizes. We'll have to see how large the system ends up being overall. Let's see here. Mark says, good day, buddy, from West Nova Scotia. What's up, Mark? Hope you're doing good. Hope everything's well with you. Yeah, like I said, you got to be watching out for this one, my friend. Got to keep an eye on it. Let's see here. Will the storm surge affect the coast of the shore of, let's see, LI in terms of flooding? Well, pretty much the entire, like I said, obviously you're saying for Long Island. So, like I said, pretty much the entire East Coast is going to feel some effects of surges and, or not really surges, but more of like, maybe some coastal flooding could be possibility, as well as rip currents. That's what I wanted to say. It's rip currents is the big deal. We're going to actually feel those across, like I said, even Florida, even as far down south as Florida, basically from Port St. Lucie all the way up the coast here. Didn't mean to grab that. We're going to be feeling these rip currents and overall those conditions overall. Let's see here. Why do Pacific storms seem to get more intense than Atlantic tropical systems? It just depends on the year. It really does. If you have an El Nino, typically the Pacific's more active than the Atlantic because there's more increased wind shear in the Atlantic. And obviously they're in the opposite effect. The La Nina, you get more active tropics in the Atlantic. Meanwhile, it's less active in the Pacific. Let's see here. See, why isn't the cone shifted left even though Euro shows it going west? It's because there's other models in play. You can't just trust one model. That's something you got to learn, is that you can't just be you can't just be focusing on one model in particular. You got to take all their models, average them out. The average of the models has this thing going in this region. Now, like I said, the cone as of right now has this thing going as far west as making like I said, as far west as having that center land point, or that landfall, I should say, going right near Cape Cod. At its furthest west point and at its furthest east point, I mean, you can see, regardless, it's going to be hitting land at this point. I mean, it's pretty much certain it's going to be hitting land at this point here overall. And like I said, still remaining quite a beast of a storm. I mean, like I said, it's going to be a big storm, too. It's not going to be a small little storm. It's going to be a big storm. Let's see here. Carlos says, hello, Andrew. Blessings from Puerto Rico. Hope the news will be good for the Caribbean. Yeah, like I said, the Caribbean right now, I mean, obviously across Puerto Rico, you're probably experiencing the worst of it now by the coastlines. Obviously, you're not getting, that tropical storm force winds, overall, even though this thing has a really massive wind field, absolutely enormous. But, out there towards Puerto Rico, right now, you're fine. The only thing is those waves. I'm sure the waves are very high out there by Puerto Rico right now, especially on the northern side, I should say. So if you're out in the, out there by the coast, I'm sure there's a lot of rip current concerns going on, a lot of rip currents happening right now, as well as, like I said, some big waves overall is a thing. Let's see here. Can I give us a guess as to how into the East Coast we may feel effects? Just curious. I'm in the Northeast. So, like I said, obviously, here I'm going to show you guys. So we're going to actually, I'll have to dive into the models here for that. You know, honestly, I'd say that a lot of, you know, to feel the effects, I mean, I'm sure there's a good shot that, you know, most of these regions will feel some effects for the most part. Mostly in here is where the most effects are going to be felt with the system overall. Anything west of that, I mean, it's still possible you could get a little rain out of it. Depends on how far west it tracks overall. Maybe a little windy too. I mean, because, you know, we are dispersing pressure over a pretty broad distance. So there's going to be that drop in pressure probably even out there by you guys. So the winds are going to be, you know, maybe picking up a little bit. Maybe be picking up a little bit. Let's see here. Do I think it could be as bad as Fiona? It has potential. But let's see here. What do the winds be like in Prince Edward's Island, Canada? It's specifically Summerside area. So where was that at? Where's that at? So I'm not too used to, you said Prince Edward's Island, right? Yes, Prince Edward's Island. Okay, right in here. Okay. Yeah, I'm not too used to Canada. But when it comes to it, yeah, obviously the storm's going to be dying down a little bit. Like I said, at this point being, we're talking sustained winds around 50, with gusts getting up to 65 as it, you know, kind of pulls past Nova Scotia here. Once again, that's as it already passes Nova Scotia. It's obviously going to be heavier by the time it's hitting Nova Scotia. But by the time it's passed and starts moving near New Brunswick, you are going to be getting some of those strong winds on the right-hand side. So the right-hand side of the system is always the dirty side, we call it. The left-hand side is the clean side because, you know, the more stronger winds is on the right side. And, you know, there's a couple of shots for a few isolated tornadoes I think could be a possibility. I mean, that's just typical cyclone-induced tornadoes, or just typical cyclonic activity, I should say. Let's see here. But yeah, no, like I said, in terms of the winds here, by Prince Edward's, like I said, you know, could be gusting into the 60s. Seems to be a possibility as of right now. Let's see. What are the chances of it shifting west and hitting Long Island? Very low. Very low. Like I said, you guys aren't even in the cone of uncertainty. Yeah, the cone goes well to your east, so you can see Long Island here. I mean, you're a good ways away from the cone. And matter of fact, if I actually do a measurement here, you can't see the measurement, but it's showing 175 miles exactly from the cone here. So from central Long Island, you're good. Yeah, like I said, we're not going to really feel too much. Probably not going to feel too much out of the storm overall. Like I said, I think that obviously the coastlines, I mean, yes, you guys are going to be feeling those rip currents as well as the, you know, the overall larger waves. That's going to be a thing for the coasts, but, you know, more inland, you probably won't feel this too much. I mean, you might get a little rain out of it, yes, but, you know, honestly, it's probably not going to be anything extreme. Something you cannot compare to Sandy, honestly. Can't, because it's hitting a totally different era. Let's see here. So New Jersey should hopefully be fine. Yeah, like I said, unless you're on the coast there, look out for rip currents and, like I said, you know, some big seas overall, you know, big waves. And like I said, those rip currents is a, you know, bit of a danger. So if you're out there, you know, on vacation by the coastline, it could be a problem. Let's see here. My dad's in the cone, but I'm on the west side, so he'll be okay. Gotcha. Well, like I said, just it's good to be prepared and good to keep an out there for it. Let's see here. I'm in the right on the thin part of the island in the middle, says Kevin. So like, oh, this part right here. Oh, you Summerside. Okay. Yeah. So it'll definitely you're definitely in the cone there. And like I said, by the time it reaches there, I mean we're talking sustained winds of 50 with gusts up to 65 still being a possibility. Let's see here. I could see a possible spin up, especially near the center. The winds are constantly changing. Atmosphere usually very quick spin ups. Yeah, that's usually on the right hand side of the you know, the motion, or the right hand side of the system, because that's where your thermodynamics are the best, as well as that's where your wind shear is at. You really can't have tornadoes in the left hand side. That's just more of a right hand side thing. What about central Maine? You know, there's a shot you could see some gusty winds out there by central Maine. Like I said, most of the effects are going to be felt on the coast, as, you know, any normal tropical system. You feel the most of the effects. Like I said, you feel most of the effects on the coast there overall. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and take you guys over here to the models, because that's something that, you know, we need to look at here overall. We've been looking at the cone here for a little bit. So let's go ahead and hop you guys over here to the weather models here overall. We're going to start off with the new GFS model that run that's coming through right now. So obviously we have ourselves Lee right here. We have Margot out there as well. Margot's a Cat 1 right now. So we work our way down in time, according to the GFS. We got some high pressure that's built its way through. Right now we have this cold front that's kind of moving across the Ohio Valley right now. This high pressure system, yeah, according to the latest GFS, wow, actually has it going right there in the western side of Nova Scotia, as well as right there kind of for the eastern Gulf of, is it the Gulf of? Yes, the Gulf of Maine. Right there for the eastern side of the Gulf of Maine, as well as into, just kind of eastern Maine's coast, as well as western Nova Scotia, has it going right between, and then eventually into, eventually into New Brunswick overall. According to the GFS. So the GFS has actually trended a little bit more to the west, it looks like. Let's go and take a look here at the ECMWF. The ECMWF model, yeah, this one doesn't go out as far yet, but here, let me actually backtrack to the previous run, the longer run here. So the previous one from the ECMWF actually has this digging more into the northeast, which would be a lot more of a problem for areas of the northeast, such as, Massachusetts even, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, obviously. The European model has this thing diving a lot further to the west, which would have a lot more impacts if this was the overall scenario. It's still not ruled out. It's still not a ruled out scenario. Overall, as we're going to be talking about here. But between the GFS and the European model, there's a little bit of disagreement. Like I said, the GFS kind of has it going right in here, while the European model has it obviously a little bit more further here to the west, which would obviously have more United States impacts. The more west it moves, the more impacts will be felt in the northeast overall. So that's that. Let's see. Kevin says only 90 or 80 to 90 kilometer winds. It's not so bad. Like I said, yeah, it's mostly a coastal problem. Like I said, it's mostly mostly a big problem for the coast. These regions definitely do get a lot of nor'easters. They definitely do experience some pretty strong winds time to time. Which, yes, that's going to be a problem. There's a threat for, wind damage, but the main problem, I think, is going to be like the water moving onshore in terms of surging and stuff like that. That's what I think is going to be the big problem overall. That's what I'm mostly concerned about. In terms of rainfall, it looks like a lot of that rain is going to be sticking to the left-hand side because, like I said, we're going to be picking up a lot of dry air as the system rolls basically, just north of the mid-Atlantic here. With that high pressure that we have in place, it also brings in dry conditions overall. So you can actually see this big belt of dry air that just gets sucked up into the storm here on the right-hand flank, which is going to make that mostly a dry side of the storm. Not much convection, not much rain out there on the right-hand side. Like I say, a lot of that moisture appears to be mostly, positioned across the western flank of the storm. Because, like I said, that's where the moisture remains, while the dry air pulls into the east. So that would obviously bring more rain for the northeast, and less rain for out there by Nova Scotia, potentially. I think we're going to see more of the rain out there by the northeast rather than Nova Scotia. The northeast seems to be the most impacted precipitation-wise. Now, like I said, depending on, where it makes landfall, which will ultimately change, ultimately figure out how much rain we're expecting. Now, just for a little bit of just a look at real quickly, according to the model, like I said, the ECMWF right now, we could be seeing in the ballpark. Remember, this is going to change, but we're talking maybe 3 to 6 inches of rainfall, across portions here, maybe throughout Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine. Those regions could be seeing maybe, like I said, 3 to 6, maybe locally higher. But once again, that's according to the ECMWF, which has it diving more inland. Like I said, here's the GFS. Still on the table of just only eastern Maine here experiencing 3 to 6 inches overall. So like I said, once again, it just depends on where it makes landfall, how big the system is, how much dry air it pulls in. There's a lot of factors that will contribute to how much rainfall ultimately we will see. But that's just something we're going to need to work out over the next couple of days in terms of rainfall. It's just, once again, simply way too early to tell to the overall totals. But like I said, but whenever it comes to like the winds and stuff like that, even the GFS, the American GFS here, it actually shows the system here. The one that shows it more east. It actually does show, obviously areas here by Cape Cod, still experiencing some tropical storm force winds. We're still talking sustained winds of 40 knots, which is right in lower tropical storm category, which is right around 45 miles an hour roughly. So obviously, you know, with that, that's still tropical storm sustained. Obviously, higher gusts will be expected at this point, you know, given time. Now, when it comes to the European ECMWF model, obviously, a lot stronger winds will be a problem. If this was the case, obviously, the more west it goes, once again, the more impacts we're going to feel in the northeast. But yeah, according to the European model, I mean, obviously, this would be allowing for a lot of, you know, a lot more windy conditions, which would ultimately lead to a lot more surges as well, a lot more surging, especially for the northern side of Cape Cod. You're going to feel the worst of it up there, you know, for portions of Cape Cod here, because like I said, basically these systems, like I was explaining, they basically drive water to the south on the left-hand side, and they bring up water to the north on the right-hand side. So like it's spinning counterclockwise, and so like I said, you know, with the geography of, you know, Cape Cod, how it's basically an island, has a little bay in the middle. Essentially, we're going to get all that water that's just going to be pushing on that northern side, which that is going to cause some coastal flooding, and all kinds of concerns like that. You know, that's pretty much a factor. But in terms of to what degree that's going to be, it's, you know, still needs to be worked out a little bit, because like I said, overall, we're going to be seeing this, you know, there's a bit of differences between the GFS and the ECMWF model overall. So we'll just need to, you know, just monitor the progression. And like I said, you know, surging is going to be a problem as well, potentially for the, you know, the coast of Maine. Like I said, it ultimately just leads up to exactly where the pinpoint area is of landfall. But you can actually see, I mean, across the areas here of the coast, I mean, yeah, we're talking, you know, like I said, a lot of water just being drawn right there towards the the coast, which would allow for more of that water to rush inland, which would be a coastal flooding problem. But anyways, that's the ECMWF. So, you know, ECMWF seems to be trending a little bit more to the west out there. Like I said, the GFS model still holds it a little bit out more to the east, which would still cause problems for the, you know, the northeast, obviously. Now, when it comes to other models, like I said, the CMC, we haven't looked at that one quite yet. The latest run from the CMC model kind of agrees with the GFS overall, kind of keeps it more to the east from what it looks like. You know, still potentially giving Cape Cod tropical storm force winds. It seems like it seems like that's a good possibility overall out there. So, you know, we just got to keep an eye out there for that. Here overall. I mean, we're talking over 40 knot winds being a good possibility out there. So, like I said, CMC model kind of agrees with the GFS overall whenever it does that. Icon, here's another model. Yeah, literally the same spot as where the CMC is. I mean, it seems most of the models just keep it going north until it hits western Nova Scotia, while the European model kind of seems like more the outcast model as of right now, kind of driving more to the west overall. But still, I mean, ultimately, as all the other models did show, I mean, we're still talking probably low-end tropical storm force winds out there by Cape Cod. Once again, the main effects it's going to be feeling here is for the 16th into the 17th, guys. That's whenever we're going to really feel the heaviest effects. Like I said, it's supposed to make landfall here probably for the morning of the 17th, so it's going to be pretty early. But, you know, we're going to be live for you guys to make sure you guys are, you know, getting coverage on this, because, you know, a lot of, obviously, you know, information is key. That is essentially what we, you know, we need to get out there, is all that information as much as possible to help you guys be prepared. Like I said, you know, I would start preparing for the storm now, considering that we have a really good pinpoint area here where potentially where it could end up in general. Here's a current view, the satellite view, if you guys want to take a look at it, though. It's got a bit of dry air on it, but it's, you know, it's still cranking. It's still doing all right. A bit of dry air up here, as you can see. Obviously, it does have a little eye. It did have a little eye there for a little bit. It's there. It's kind of hard to see, but there is a little eye, a little itty-bitty eye there that's, you know, a bit of dry air in the middle there. But overall, I mean, yeah, the storm's still doing relatively fine. Once again, sustained winds of 115 right now, with gusts obviously a little higher overall, and that's that. Let's see here. See what European model is saying regarding landfall. So Dale, the European model was the one that was showing it go more into the northeast, but it seems like most of the other models we looked at doesn't really show that. I mean, like I said, anything's still a possibility. I mean, here's the spaghetti models. This is something we haven't looked at. New spaghetti models. Like I said, very confident on the track, you know, where it's going here for the next little bit. I mean, like I said, that right there, that's Bermuda. And Bermuda's probably going to get some tropical storm watches. I definitely think tropical storm conditions will be a good possibility out there. But like I said, for the next 3+ days. This is that 3-day mark at the 72-hour point. The models, you can see how they are still really close together in regarding to where the center of the storm is forecasted to be. So we're very confident on the fact that the storm, remaining in this area for the next little bit. But then obviously a little bit more uncertainty arises, probably due to the strength and the position of that high pressure that's forecasted here. Obviously the models and the extended range start to kind of question what might actually happen, but ultimately all the models has this thing between the point here of Nova Scotia. It seems like mostly Nova Scotia has the best probability of seeing a direct landfall. There's still a couple, there's still a little bit of shots of a direct landfall towards Maine, but honestly, if I was to put money on it, I would say it's probably going to be there for the western side of Nova Scotia. Seems to be the best odds in terms of landfall with this system here overall. But like I said, once again, things are still going to change more than likely, but it's coming down to the wire now to where we have a good idea of what's going to happen at this point, overall. Bermuda could have a heap of issues. Yeah, like I said, unfortunately, obviously the winds aren't going to be terrible. They've experienced, obviously, hurricane force winds before. This is not going to be hurricane force winds in Bermuda, though. That's the thing. It's going to be tropical storm force winds, more than likely. And like I said, the thing is here is the fact that we actually have really big waves that's going to be happening out there. Over 30-foot waves is going to be a good possibility. Bermuda is currently under a watch, I believe. Last time I checked, they weren't. But like I said, I think they need one. You're right, they do. They just added it. They must have just did that for this last update here. I didn't even see that. Well, there you go. You're right. Thanks for letting me know that. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, I thought it was definitely something that they needed to do. Because there's been continuous model support of those tropical storm force winds being a possibility. Like I said, the wind field of this thing's absolutely massive. It's a big system. It's supposed to get even larger too. So, like I said, this system overall is. Yeah, the system overall is going to be a pretty big beast for the most part. But, definitely tropical storm conditions, I think, is going to be a good shot for those regions out there. Here's some ensembles. So this is the GEPS ensembles here. Once again, pretty well support here over the next little bit from these members. But you can see as we work our way up here, a little bit more uncertainty arises. There's really not many members having it hit the northeast here, according to the GEPS. But mostly the main density does get by Nova Scotia there. Maybe pulling a little bit more to the east overall, but still would be basically hitting Nova Scotia. And whenever it comes to the other one, the GEFS ensembles, this one is very heavily reliant on the system hitting Nova Scotia direct on, which, like I said, that's how the models have been talking for the last few days. It seems like that, Nova Scotia is like one of the main impact points. It definitely seems like Nova Scotia is going to be the place of possible landfall. So like I said, now's the time I would start preparing for this. If you live across, Nova Scotia, especially the coast out there, I would really start preparing for this. Like I said, just to be careful, just to be safe out there, because, as the time this thing reaches the coastline here, it's still possibly going to be upper tropical storm force. Like I said, who knows how long it'll carry hurricane force for, but it could very well easily be up to tropical storm force. And like I said, I guarantee you a lot of places up here, up in the northeast coast, as well as, like I said, even Nova Scotia in general, and even eventually New Brunswick. I bet you guys we're probably going to be seeing some tropical storm force conditions out in those regions there. What day is it expected to hit? So it's expected to hit between the 16th and the 17th. So that would be 16th here is for Saturday, 17th is Sunday. So it's a weekend storm. So yeah, Saturday and the Sunday. Yeah, Saturday and the Sunday. Let's see here. Bermuda just gotta hope it doesn't sway too much to the east. Yeah, honestly, hopefully it won't. But the models, like I said, are very confident on the fact that this thing just remaining to the west of, like I said, just to the west of Bermuda by, quite a decent margin. But like I said, the wind field is huge on this storm here. I mean, it's a big boy. It's a real big storm. It's expected to be, pretty big storm here overall. So like I said, we'll just have to keep an eye out there for this for the most part. Like I said, whenever it comes to the intensity guidance here, like I said, we do have ourselves, the system here. Like I said, we do have the system here that, obviously is expected to undergo, pretty much just rapid weakening as it approaches stronger winds, as it rolls into warmer waters overall and stuff like that. Let's see here. What's that random line on the left hitting Rhode Island and Connecticut? Probably one of the members. Yeah, one of this one's here. It's one of the members. But you can see the main density of them, though. You can see the main density of those members has it going right there across, like Nova Scotia overall. Let's see here. What's up, Liam? Hope you're doing good. Don't forget your storm chips. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, don't forget your storm chips, y'all. Let's see here. I'm in southern Massachusetts. How bad will it be? So, whenever it comes to it, like I said, you're by the southern side, so I'm taking it you're by, like, here. Like I said, coastal Massachusetts, we're probably going to feel it pretty good. Probably going to be feeling it pretty good out there. Let me actually go ahead and hop you guys back over here to the main screen. So, here is the, like I said, here's the latest cone overall. This thing is going to be mostly to your east. It's forecasted to be mostly to your east as of right now. But depending on how far inland you are, so if you're in this area here, yeah, you're probably going to still feel some, some strong winds more than likely. But like I said, it's really for the areas by the coasts that's got to really be looking out there for this in terms of, surges, like I said, swelling of the water, stuff like that. In terms of swelling, rip currents, all those problems seems to be an issue out there. Let's see here. Dale says, P.S. Well done with the regular update, Andrew. You're very welcome, Dale. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Let's see here. 20 miles from Cape. Oh, okay. Gotcha. So yeah, you're pretty close then. I even think Boston. Boston being right there on the coast there. I think we're probably gonna get a little bit of, maybe a little bit of swelling. From all that water that's going to be kind of pulling its way in these regions here. I definitely think that we could see some swelling out there by Boston. Still a little unsure as to how much swelling is going to be possible, but, like I said, it's going to need to be watched out there for sure. Let's see here. I'm in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. Starting to get small swells now. The ocean is right across from me, says Doreen. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, so... Like I said, definitely, be careful out there whenever it comes to it. Because like I said, later on, things are going to be getting pretty crazy with those waves. I'm actually going to go ahead and show you guys what we're talking about here. So whenever it comes to the East Coast, regarding the wave height and direction and stuff like that, let me go ahead and hop you guys over here right now. But whenever it comes to it, like I said, we're going to see those wave heights get pretty daggone large. So we work our way down in time. And you can see the system is expected to grow quite strong. And like I said, you can see those effects there across the coast. All the way basically from Port St. Lucie and all the way up the East Coast here overall. And then you can see, obviously, we have Bermuda right there. You see that Bermuda has, over 30-foot waves potentially, according to the ECMWF. Pretty big waves out there by the mid-Atlantic coast, too, kind of right there by Nag's Head, and areas along eastern North Carolina could see some really big waves. And like I said, it really looks like that, coastal Maine, potentially coastal Maine, as well as, pretty much a lot of Nova Scotia's coastline, could be seeing some very heavy waves as well. We're talking maybe over 30, maybe up to 40, 50 foot, in some areas can't be ruled out, unfortunately. So like I said, that's just something that, we're going to need to monitor, between the models here for the next little bit. But that's that. Let's see here. Any chances the wind speed for Prince Edward Island, Canada? Let's see. I'm a fisherman in the Atlantic. Oh, gotcha. That's cool. Any chance getting wind speeds? So whenever it comes to the winds out there, like I was explaining here, on the current cone from the National Hurricane Center, you can see obviously the system as it works its way throughout Nova Scotia. It's forecasted to have sustained winds of around 50 miles per hour, which is kind of right around middle tropical storm force. The wind gust, though, could be up into upper tropical storm force. So, You know, obviously that's kind of the maximum is as of right now is forecasted for you guys is probably going to be up in there in the 60 gusts overall. So, you know, that's what I would expect as of right now, you know, for the most part. Let's see here. Based on the water temps, storm turning north, landfall to the west. Let's see, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, not going to landfall up north. That has nothing to do with where it's going to make landfall. The water temperatures only is there for the amount of energy the storm can pick up. It has nothing to do with the track of the storm. Just intensity factor. It's not going to hit Florida. It's not going to hit Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Delaware. Probably not even near even areas like New Jersey. I mean, it's going to be for the upper northeast. Like I said, even into, you know, basically by Massachusetts coast and Maine, essentially, is where the overall the big word is. And like I said, obviously Nova Scotia there. And actually coastal New Brunswick, too. Yeah, I definitely watch out for that. Let's see. Eric says, I live in Cape Cod and work all the way in, let's see, Provincetown. It's alarming to how no one even knows about this yet. Yeah, it's a little interesting. You know, like I said, obviously Cape Cod, you know, we are expecting some big impacts out of this. You know, like I was showing you the models. The models overall were really showing some pretty big waves. Waves as well as those winds, you know, getting up into the tropical storm status. You know, it's more than a likelihood. It's more than likely that we'll see the system overall, you know, getting up to, you know, tropical storm force out there. But let me actually show you this. I mean, here is the latest from the, you know, the waves we were just looking at here overall. So as we track way down in time, you can obviously see the waves, you know, really increase across the northeast and really the, you know, the east coast in general. But at this point here for the, you know, the 16th, as the system, you know, is across these waters here, you can see that we're going to be having these waves here. This color table is actually up there pretty high. You know, kind of around that 50 to 60 foot margin, you know, at absolutely most, you know, some areas swelling up to 7, or some areas, you know, waves up to 70 foot in the core could, you know, that's what the European model has to say. Obviously, like I said, you know, take this with a grain of salt, but it's good to get an idea based off of what this could show. But, you know, with this system rolling through, I mean, depending on also where it makes landfall, it looks like, you know, Cape Cod, a lot of Maine, like I said, all of Maine's coast and, you know, Nova Scotia out there is going to be, once again, very impacted by some very rough seas out there. Let's see here. But yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about. Let's see, this is wild. Yeah, it's a little concerning. It really is. What about New York? New York State or New York City? New York City, like I said, obviously, I think New York City is going to be mostly fine. Like I said, areas towards Long Island, like I said, obviously Long Island's coast, you're going to be getting some pretty big waves overall and some rip currents. That's a problem. Like I said, the waves could get upwards of maybe up to 15 to 20 foot out there. Could be a possibility as of right now, according to this model. Forces hurricane poised to hit. So it is expected to make landfall here, basically between Maine and Nova Scotia. Which, let me go ahead and show you real quickly back over here to the main cone. Like I said, we have New Brunswick. You know, obviously New Brunswick's coast is going to be impacted too, more than likely. So we have Maine's coast, New Brunswick, as well as Nova Scotia. Like I said, those regions here, and that cone of uncertainty is where we could really feel some of those big effects. Like I said, the center of the storm could track as far to the west as areas here by Portland, or as far to the east as areas here by, you know, like, let's see, Guysborough, those regions out there in, you know, eastern Nova Scotia. So, you know, the center could still move around a little bit. You know, as we have been seeing in the models, there still is a little bit of uncertainty between exactly where this will be. But it seems like between most of the ensembles and most of these weather models, it really seems the cone has this in the dead center of where this thing's expected. You know, right in this region, it has the best probability of seeing landfall overall. You know, I'd really say the western side of Nova Scotia. If I was to put my money on it, that's where I would put it. Let's see here. But yeah. Hope says this is not boring. That was my son. I'm so sorry. It's okay. I read the comment. I was like, okay. Let's see here. What about upstate New York? So yeah, areas out there you probably won't feel too much of this. Let's see. Yeah, no, if you're in Nova Scotia, you definitely have got to monitor this here. Like I said, that's where I think the heaviest impacts are going to be, is in Nova Scotia, because like I said, overall, whenever it comes to it, like I said, with this system here overall, we actually have ourselves that low pressure system. These things rotate counterclockwise, and like I said, whenever it comes to it, all of that water is going to be pushed inland. Going to cause some swelling, some surging. So, like I said, that's really what the coast has got to look out for. Any of these storms have to hit the UK? Not right now. Nikki says, "Thing I don't understand is that someone is a fisherman, a surfer, or does anything with the water. Just stay out of the water until the storm is over. Don't send yourself on the beach." Yeah, exactly. Honestly, you're very right. You're very right about that. I mean, yes, I get for surfers, it's like, oh man, but the waves are big. I mean, yes, I get it, but you know what? There's also, you're putting yourself at risk. You're putting your life at risk because there's some nasty rip currents with this storm here. So between rip currents, I would stay out of the water completely. Obviously, boaters, I mean, we're talking waves possibly over 60 feet in some areas. I mean, it gets nuts. It gets nuts. And obviously, you're going to want to do your best to avoid the storm. You're going to want to, obviously, not be in the water. You're going to want to be well away from the storm's path. Just let the storm come through, and then once everything's resided, once everything comes back to normal, then you guys can go out and do whatever you want to do. But like I said, right now, not the time to. Not the time to. Let's see here. Could it make a sudden turn left last minute before Maine? Odds are very low. It's not really expected. Because like I said, the cone of uncertainty basically has that far left point. As of right now, the storm center could go as far to the left as this line here. And that would keep it in Maine still. Like I said, the models are actually pretty set on the agreement overall. Like I said, pretty easy overall. Like I said, we have ourselves, for the obviously pretty expected to see most of it in this region here. Sorry, I was reading a comment. It's not easy for the lobster traps. 800 lobster traps out of the water. Yeah, there's a lot of lobster fishermen out there. There really is. But no, I definitely get that side of it as well. But, obviously you specifically, your traps, they can be out there. Like I said, I'm not a fisherman. Obviously, you probably know more about fishing than I do whenever it comes to, when it comes to that. But, but like I said, I mean, you specifically, bottom line, do not be out in the water. That's what I gotta say. Let's see. The message I would get from stay highly land away from the shore. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Just remain away from, the low-lying areas by this, the sea level. Because, like I said, we're gonna have some pretty big, pretty big coastal flooding. Pretty big surging is gonna be the possibility. That right there is what we need to look out for. The most is that coastal flooding from the surges. Like I said, the rainfall, the rainfall could be, something to look out there for overall. Like I said, we're talking an early signs. Now, remember, this is going to change. It depends on the track, the speed, intensity, size, everything. But, that's still being worked out. But right now, the models are kind of hinting maybe 3 to 6 inches in some areas with rainfall, for some of those areas that could be impacted. Like I was explaining beforehand, it looks like, if this thing does pass its way throughout western Nova Scotia, it looks like it'll leave the northeast more wet than the Nova Scotia area because, like I said, once again, the models are forecasting this thing to have a lot of dry air just get launched into the system here overall. Let's see here. I think Rhode Island needs to watch closely. Rhode Island, like I said, obviously for coastal Rhode Island, we're going to feel some swelling, but the storm's expected to be to your east overall. Let's see here. Gypsy says, awesome. Thank you. Appreciate your knowledge and explanations. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I appreciate it. Let's see here. I got a question. How bad is it going to be? So upon landfall, like I said, honestly, I'm expecting it to be upper tropical storm. But the problem is how big the system is. It is a massive storm. It is going to be an absolute beast of a storm. So we're going to feel a lot of areas getting tropical storm force winds. It's not like a little compacted area. That'll be something else. But we're talking a massive area that's getting some very strong winds out of the storm here. Plus a lot of, swelling out there, the coastal flooding, all of that stuff. That's that. Like I said, obviously right now there's still a few things that need to be worked out in terms of, exactly where it's going to make landfall. Right now it's expected to make landfall between Nova Scotia as well as Maine's coast. That's basically where we're thinking it's going to make landfall. Like I said, once again, if I was to put my money on it, between what the models have been saying, not just the cone, but the models have been supporting this area here getting hit for quite a few days now, actually. And it really definitely looks like, something, like I said, it really looks like something we need to look out there for, especially in those regions there. Let's see here. Yeah, life is a lot more important than, objects and stuff like that. Like I said, yeah, that's for sure, Nikki. I agree with you on that one. I really do. Like I said, obviously your lives are more precious than anything else. Any physical object, your life is way more important than it. Like I was saying, if you have property out there, don't risk your life to save it. I mean, yes, if you can save it, good, save it. But if you can't, and if you're cutting it close, don't put yourself at risk for it, ever. Because if you do, like I say, you're putting your life at risk, and obviously, that wouldn't be very good. And like I said, y'all's lives is precious. Every single one of you guys watching this, y'all are precious. Every single living soul should, avoid putting yourself in the bad ways of the storm. Let's see here. Last time Maine took a hit like this, thank you. I feel like Fiona did some things to Maine's coast too. I think it was last year. I think Fiona. Obviously, Fiona, I think, hit a little further east in Nova Scotia, because I remember we were covering that. But I want to say that Maine probably got a little bit of coastal effects, but probably not as bad as this one's going to have. Couldn't tell you before that. But last one I remember getting up in this region was Fiona. Let's see here. Do I think we'll make the next list of names? So you mean like after we go through all the names this year, you think we'll go in the next? No, I don't think so. Let's see here. No, I really don't think so. I mean, because what is it? The Greek alphabet we have to go through as well. I don't even know if we'll make it to that. I don't think we will. I mean, yeah, we are expecting, above average season. I mean, despite El Nino, which is crazy. I mean, it's been very active. Once again, we actually have another system here. Let's see what the percentages are now. Still 70, so 70 high chance, and actually has a 20% chance of turning into a system in the next 2 days. So basically, we have another tropical system that's rolling through. We're going to need to keep an eye out there for overall. Let's see here. But no, I don't think it will make the next list of names. That is pretty much certainty of no. Now, look at the conditions out there now. Looks a bit rainy out there. Yeah, no, the northeast got really hit by some rain, actually. Let's see. Might be able to pull up the radar. But, no, a lot of you guys got seriously hit by some big rain yesterday. Yeah, yesterday overall. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and switch you guys over here real quickly. So here's what's going on right now. Actually, we got a big, that cold front we were talking about. We got a lot of rain, going across the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley right now. And eventually, like I said, it's going to continue moving to the east here overall. I forgot who asked me this a little bit ago. But there was, like I said, someone was asking me the thoughts of severe weather on the system. We do have a marginal risk here. Let's see, that's for today. Whoops. We got a marginal risk here for today. Tomorrow, it doesn't look like we have much. But out of the cold front for today, we do have a marginal level 1 severe weather threat across portions of the northeast, the southern northeast, and a portion of the southeast as well. The dark green here represents that overall. So, let's see. Lee will just be a tropical storm by the time it hits Nova Scotia. Yeah, more than likely. Yeah, more than likely. I agree with you. Like I said, I'm thinking, upper tropical storm. Kind of seems to be what this thing will most likely remain as it works its way up here. But like I said, obviously whenever it comes to it, the wind field is very large. Very, very large. Let's see here. Is Nova Scotia densely populated? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I don't obviously live out there. I haven't visited there either, but I'm pretty sure there's a decent amount of people that lives out there by Nova Scotia. You know, definitely do. But that's that. Let's see. It was downpouring yesterday. Street flooded within 30 minutes. Wow. That's crazy. Now, there was, I remember seeing some, flash flood emergencies that were issued yesterday. Pretty crazy. We got some more rain rolling our way through as well. Let's see here. But yeah. All right, so that's that, guys. Let's actually hop you guys back over here before we head off here today, or for now, I should say. Yeah, we'll be back later on tonight, guys. We'll be live for this event. Again, we'll do another update for tonight's models that roll through. But I'm probably going to call it here in about 10 minutes or so, guys. Probably going to head off here in about 10 minutes. So, like I said, if you guys did enjoy it, consider subscribing, leaving a like. It'll be greatly appreciated, y'all. Like I said, I really appreciate y'all being here in general. We're literally like 50 subscribers away from reaching 19,000. It's crazy. How's Lee 2.0? How's Lee 2.0 going? So obviously, yeah, we got to watch out for Lee 2.0. In regarding to another tropical depression that's set to turn into a storm. It looks like it's going to pull mostly north, but at this point, it's kind of a little. Oh, I'm not even over on the screen here. But at this point, it's a little unknown. There's another. Regardless, we do know there's another tropical storm or another tropical system we need to watch. Let's see, 97L. Right now, the models. Let me full screen this for you guys. Wow. Yeah, the models are a little on a disagreement mode right now. You see the big gaps between all these models, so they're a little unsure of where exactly the center is going to be. So there's a lot of unknowns right now. Here's the storm right now. Actually, I haven't looked at this yet. I can see a little bit of counterclockwise motion in that. You see it right here? She's spinning a little bit. But obviously, the thunderstorms are very disorganized right now. I mean, it has a lot of work to do before it, decides it wants to become a tropical system. But more than likely, it will. But there is some circulation. There is some low pressure in that overall. Let's see the models. Most models expect this thing to easily at least get in the tropical storm status, which I agree, honestly. We will see this be a named storm. But, I mean, yeah, this thing's expected just to rapidly intensify, over the next little bit. Shoot. We're going to have to, really watch out for this storm here. Because, like I was saying here, I mean, overall, the waters are so hot right now. The waters are like really warm, like really, really warm. Like I said, basically 26 degrees Celsius, so basically yellow, and up from that is how you sustain and strengthen tropical storms. Regarding the surface temperatures alone, there's other factors, like I said, moisture, as well as wind shear is a big factor. If there's no wind shear, that's good for the storm. If there's a lot of wind shear, it's not. But like I was saying, though, is that, the fact is like I was saying, though, is that the waters out here, I mean, a lot across the Atlantic are very, very warm. And like I said, when the conditions are right, otherwise, moisture and the lack of wind shear, if that's ever a thing, it would scream rapid intensification. That's what actually Lee did in its early life. It just rapidly grew. It just grew up and then finally hit Category 5 like within a day or so. I mean, it was wicked. I mean, that thing took off like real quick. If you guys didn't know, Lee did eventually get to Cat 5. I don't know if any of you guys knew that. At one point, Lee was a Category 5 hurricane, which was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Seems like that was ages ago. I mean, we've been tracking this storm here, guys, for like the last week, probably. I mean, easily the last week, right? I mean, shoot, yeah, we've been watching this one for quite a while, for definitely for quite a while, and like I said, obviously we're gonna be watching it for the next several days as well. And like I said, guys, once again, we are expecting the 16th into the 17th to be the most impacted time here overall. With this system. With this system in general, it's expected to cause most of the impacts there. Let's see here. Let me bring you guys back over here to the models, because I want to show you guys some of those other ones we have. The HWRF, parent model. Yeah, has it going right there into the Gulf of Maine there. And like I said, that would cause some strong winds out there by Cape Cod. It would, throw some surging concerns for, a lot of the coastal areas here in general. Yeah, it would definitely be pretty crazy. And like I said, you can really see, how the storm here, how it just sucks in a lot of dry air. Sucks in a heck of a lot of dry air overall. Because, like I said, we have this cold front right now. This cold front is going to be rolling through. So, obviously, there's a bit of moisture on the cold front. I can even show you where that moisture is at right now. There it is right there. So, that's all that moisture. It's a bit dry back here. And in that dry air, like I said, later on down in its life, later on down in time, that dry air mass, it's just going to get sucked into the storm as it rolls to the north. You can just see a lot of that dry air is going to get sucked up into the storm here. So, that's going to help keep Nova Scotia probably in actually not much rainfall. I would say it seems mostly like a wind event for Nova Scotia. Obviously, we're going to get a little bit of precipitation, yes, but you see how much dry air, though? Just how much dry air there is out there by Nova Scotia, which is, interesting. Yeah, it really shows a lot of that moisture getting up there by, like Maine. Let's see here. The HAFSA parent model. This one shows that exact same thing. Yeah, all the models show this dry air just rolling through. This one shows a little bit more moist out there by Nova Scotia, but still has the system going right there into the Gulf of Maine here overall. Yeah, definitely really getting the winds cranked up there by not Nova Scotia. Well, there too, but by Cape Cod, gonna really feel those winds probably pretty strong out there as well. And then of course we have HAFSB parent, which is another one. This one shows it the same thing basically. And like I said, that's what I'm saying. Most of the models, y'all, has the system, really going for these regions here. It's really for those areas you guys have got to watch out there for overall. But that's that. Margot might affect Lee's trajectory. What do I think? I don't think it'll affect it too much. Yes, the systems are going to be, somewhat close together at some degree, but I think they're remaining far enough away from each other to where they're hardly going to influence each other at all. You can literally see how far apart these storms are. Plus, not to mention, Lee's the bigger storm, in which Lee's going to be affecting Margot more than Margot is going to be affecting Lee. If that makes sense, because obviously the object with the bigger mass is the dominant one, in which obviously the dominant storm in this case is Lee, because it's stronger, it's bigger overall. And like I said, obviously Margot, you can see actually Margot gets pulled in towards Lee there, but then Lee weakens and then this Margot detaches. You see what I'm saying here? We have that high pressure too that's kind of helping it go that way in general. But let's see here. Cool. It's probably going to hit right at my property and one of the southwest shore of Nova Scotia. At least having folks like you telling us see what to expect makes it easier to plan for. Thanks for the great stream. You're very welcome, Heather. You're very, very welcome. And like I said, that's why I do them. That's exactly why I do them, to make sure that you guys are being prepared and that way you guys are being safe out there. Like I said, I care about y'all. I really do. I care about every single one of you guys, and I want to do whatever I can to make sure that you guys are being safe out there. That is what I will always go through for you guys, is to go over the weather for a couple times a day, just to get you guys in the world of knowing what's going to be happening out there. That's what we do. That's what we do, essentially. And, like I said, obviously, personally, I've always been the person that always loved to help out people in any way I could. And this is just one way I really enjoy doing it. I love tracking weather. I love helping people out. So whenever it comes to it, both of them, it's a win-win situation. You know, like I said, I do it because, like I said, I do it because I want to help out. Let's see here. See you later, Mary. See, Angelina says, hello, my son lives in Cape Cod. We'll hit there. So Cape Cod, like I said, will more than likely feel some pretty strong winds. Like I said, we're probably going to see some tropical storm force winds out there. I'd say it's a good possibility by Cape Cod. So he's got to watch out for some strong winds potentially. But what's really concerning is the waves. The waves are going to be very nasty out there. I mean, we're talking potentially up to 30, 40 foot plus waves could be possible, you know, out there, out at sea by Cape Cod. So that's kind of what I'm concerned about for those regions. You know, obviously a bit of coastal flooding, some surging is going to be possible, especially on that northern side. Yeah, especially on the northern side of Cape Cod, we'll probably feel some surging overall. But obviously, you know, best of luck goes to your son. You know, like I said, he's definitely going to watch out for this here overall. And that's that. Gypsy says, it shows. Thank you. You're very welcome. You're very, very welcome. Jay says, gotcha. Thanks. No problem. No problem at all. But anyways, guys, well, we're going to be heading off here very soon. If there's anything I can do for you guys, anything else before we roll off for now, let me know. Hey, like I said, guys, we'll be back here later on tonight to give you guys some more information overall. But yeah, you can see how, once again, like I was saying here, with this system, let me actually just go over to this view. There we go. So, like I said, obviously as we work our way down in time here, you can actually see how those waves... Here, I'll do this. So you can actually see how those winds are going to be, you know, really knocking inland, you know, really going to the shore here. Like I said, that's going to be pushing all of that water, or a lot of the water, into the shore here. So that's going to cause some coastal flooding, some rising of sea level. So obviously, you know, low-lying areas by the beach, got to prepare for this. You know, it's going to be a problem. Let's see here. Angelina says, thank you so much. You are very welcome. You guys are very, very welcome. Like I said, we love you guys. We do. And like I said, I really appreciate y'all hanging out with us. That's all we care about. Just making sure you guys are ready and making sure that you guys are, you know, prepared for the system. Like I said, that's literally all we care about. Is making sure you guys are safe. Black Label says, great job today. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciated, Black Label. But anyways, well, you guys take care. Let's see here. Hope says this is so boring. I'm sorry it's boring. If it's boring, then you don't have to be here. But I'm trying to do my best. Trying to do my best to make it entertaining as well as informative. Let's see here. Gypsy coming in with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Gypsy. That's very sweet of you. I appreciate that so much, Gypsy. Big thumbs up, big shout out goes to you. That is super sweet of you. Thank you, Gypsy. It's so awesome. Much appreciated. Much love to you, Gypsy. Once again, thank you so much. That is very, very sweet of you. Let's see here. Sorry I was late, Tomas. I'm surprised it's making it that far, especially based on water temps. Well, it's going to be turning from tropical to post-tropical, which, you know, kind of work differently, but kind of work differently, kind of don't. Let's see here. See. Moncton, MB. What is that? New Brunswick, MB. It's like in Nebraska for a minute, but no, it's New Brunswick. Well, like I said, yeah, no, New Brunswick's got to watch out for it too. You know, like I've mentioned before here, New Brunswick, out there by the coast, you know, will have some effects of this for sure, and the winds will be pretty strong here too. Let's see here. But yeah. But once again, Gypsy, thank you so much for that. Very sweet of you. So you call friends in area and share this video with them so they can be prepared. Power goes out. You can warn them. Yeah. Like I said, we'll be here for y'all. Like I said, I'll be live for whenever this thing makes landfall too. Whenever this thing rolls inland, then, you know, I'll definitely do that. Oh my gosh! Brittany! Coming in with a $10 Venmo donation. Brittany, thank you so much for that. That is so sweet of you. Let's see. Brittany said something too. Let's go and read the memo. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Brittany says you are not boring and you're trying your best. Keep hustling. Oh, well, thank you, Brittany. That's very sweet. Gypsy, Brittany, we love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. You absolutely rock. Thank you guys. Like I said, you know, y'all know, please, you do not have to do that. Just know that y'all do not have to support the channel in any form of way. Like I said, just you guys being here is supportive enough. I mean, just hanging out with us. But like I said, you guys, you know, once again, this channel's never about income, never about money. Like I said, you know, I'll take it or leave it. But I really do appreciate it, all the support. I mean, like I said, obviously it helps me out a lot, but you know, in terms of things, the more important information is that you guys are staying safe out there. Let's see here. Skylark 2. Oh, you guys are so sweet. You guys are you guys are super sweet. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Skylark coming in with your whopping $10 donation, saying Rhode Island here. Thanks for the updates. You're very welcome. You are so welcome, Skylark. Thank you so much, Skylark. Big shout out goes to you. Brittany and Gypsy, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Super appreciative. And like I said, you guys don't have to do that. Please know that you do not have to do that. Like I said, once again, you guys just hanging out here, y'all just being a part of this is all what matters. It really is. But thank you guys once again. Y'all absolutely rock. Let's see here. Andrew's here for us. Yeah, I always will be. I always will be too, Nikki. You know, end of the day, I will always be here for you guys. See, Mary says no boring. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some people think it's boring, but you know. I try to make it as entertaining as possible. I mean, I get weather can be somewhat boring sometimes, but, you know, obviously the information is what's important out there. Gypsy says, love your passion. Oh, thank you so much. Lisa says, appreciate the updates. You're very welcome, Lisa. Thank you so much as well. But, all right. Well, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Like I said, we'll catch you guys later on this evening, too, for whenever new models come out and stuff like that. So we'll be live here, I'm thinking 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Eastern. I feel like most people are free around 8 p.m. So whenever everyone starts winding down. So 8 p.m. I will be live for you guys. Once again, we'll have new models by then too. New overall forecast cones and stuff like that. Everything will be new. So we'll have a lot more information. But, you know, once again, bottom line, guys, it looks like Nova Scotia, Maine, New Brunswick area is going to feel this storm here pretty well. You know, most of the main concern is swelling, flooding, all that stuff overall. But you know, that's essentially what we're looking at. But, all right, you guys. Well, I think that is going to go ahead and wrap it up here for now. Once again, big shout out goes to Skylark, Gypsy, and Brittany. Thank you guys seriously so much. You all are very sweet, very supportive. You guys not have to do that, like I said, but it's very much appreciated. But, all right. Well, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Like I said, we'll catch you guys later on. So, once again, make sure that you guys are here for, like I said, you know, make sure that you guys are here for the 8 o'clock update here. That way we can get some more information overall out there. Let's see, Nikki says your videos are never boring. Your voice is soothing sometimes. Sometimes. I replay them and fall asleep to them, says Nikki. Sometimes. Guess sometimes I have bad voice days. Alright, you guys. Y'all take care. Once again, one last big shout out goes to Skylark, Gypsy, and Brittany. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. You guys be safe out there. Stream's going to head off for you guys in 2 minutes, so go ahead and say your final goodbyes to your friends, family, anybody you're hanging out with in the chat. Go ahead and say your final goodbyes. And, alright, guys. Well, until next time, we will catch you guys here later on. Guys, be safe. Once again, we love you guys, and we'll catch you guys later on. Peace out, my friends. See you then.